start with you're starting at the bottom. You're starting with your baseline of whatever the lowest number is.
Correct.
And so if I've been averaging, we'll use me.
Yes.
Let's say I've been averaging somewhere between 6 and 7. Sometimes I'll get lucky and it'll be more, but sometimes it'll be way worse and it'll be like 4 or 5 hours. But if the average, let's say, is around 6, then that's my number today.
That's your number today to start with.
And if I wake up at, let's say, 5 a.m., then that means my new bedtime.
Earliest wake up.
Right. Then that means my new bedtime for now is 11 p.m., which seems very late to me because I spend a lot of time just either playing on my phone or waking up or whatever.
Right.
So I'm squeezing in the window.
So think about like squeezing the air out of a Ziploc bag, right? Or, or people used to talk about defragging computers and such. So what we're doing is instead of having fragmented sleep, because you know how we talked about those stages of sleep? Well, at the beginning of the night, you're spending more time with your body healing and repairing. And then it's at the end of sleep where we're spending more time in that REM sleep with our brain repairing. Every time we wake up, we have to start that process over. So if you're waking up 2, 3, 4 times in the middle of the night, it's a lot harder to get to that REM sleep at the end.
It makes sense, but it seems so counterintuitive. I'm going to get more sleep by going to bed later.
But see, here's the thing.
Right, but I get it.
Right, so and what's happening is you're actually getting more restorative sleep because your brain and body aren't having to constantly work to start over again. Just like Chutes and Ladders as a kid where you kept going back to the beginning, we want to be able to get all the way through the process. So it's the amount of sleep, right? So we need to make sure we've built up enough sleepiness to sleep all the way through the night, but it's also the quality of the sleep. So that's why you start with your earliest wake up. And part of the reason that it's so important to start with the earliest wake up is then our body and brain is always going to know what it has to work with. So if maybe sometime we stay up late, it was New Year's Eve, or we were watching a sporting event, or whatever the reason was, and we usually go to bed at 11, but now you're going to bed at 1. Well, if you're still going to get up at 5, your brain knows, okay, I have this much to work with. I'm going to optimize how much time I'm healing my body and how much time I'm healing my mind.
So is that a good habit anyway, just for generality for life? It's just you should always try to wake up around the same time, go to bed around the same time, kind of create those habits?
One of the best things that you can do, as we talked about, what are the take-homes, is have a consistent bedtime and wake time 7 days a week. Because think about it. If you eat dinner at 7 every night, your body knows when to feel hungry. You start feeling hungry around 6:30. Yeah. If you eat at all different times, you're more likely to have cravings throughout the day because your body doesn't know when it's getting the next meal. So that's something that we actually see from a weight loss standpoint, is that if you're eating consistently at the same time every day, your body doesn't hoard extra calories as much because it knows when the next meal is going to come. Right. It's the same thing with sleep. So a consistent bedtime and wake time. So that's why we start with our current number. Then we get our window. And again, if for you, say 11 to 5, that feels late. We could make it 10 to 4. But what we're going to do over the next few weeks is we're eventually going to make that window bigger. And so the wake time is never going to change. So that's why I have people start with the wake time and work backwards. And then
Just
that's
go to
where
bed
we
earlier
go.
to get more
Correct.
time. And finally, we'd like to thank Amundi Pioneer for sponsoring this podcast and our time with Dr. Milanak.